Captain's log 260226. So just got home from work. I'm having my pre-workout. I'm gonna work out here, just at home. Well, I don't have a gym membership right now. I actually canceled my gym membership because I was so busy with I had started a business doing plumbing on the side. So it was impossible for me to try to keep up using the gym enough to make it worthwhile when I was doing that. But I've got the business on pause right now, so I'm trying to get back into working out here. Um, which so I know, like, it's kind of one of the tough things is when you try to get back into something like that. It's gonna suck. It's not only is it gonna suck, but you have an ego about it. Whether you know it or not, like whether not necessarily in a cocky way, but in a ego drives the fear of looking bad at the gym or failing or um, whatever, like, oh, I'm too fat to do this or any of that stuff. And you kind of have to just put that aside. And as somebody who's basically had to restart their fitness journey like a whole bunch of times, I'm super familiar with that. So I think I could talk to it. Um, yeah, so that's what I'm going to basically log today and talk about today because it's something I'm quite familiar with. So I was a fairly big athlete when I was younger. Ever since I was a kid, basically, I was played hockey, I played rugby, I wrestled, basically anything I could do, and also outdoor activities, any kind of sports or outdoor stuff I loved. Um, so I was super in shape. When I was younger, when I was you know late teens, early 20s, yeah, like I was Navy SEAL fit. Um, Basically, like I could bang out 50 pull-ups no problem. At one point, I was squatting 465 pounds for reps. So, anyways, I was I was fairly in shape. And then I learned my lesson about trying to push it too hard and not proper form and hurt my back, um, my lower back specifically, and I'm not exactly sure what happened, but possible herniated disc, and been dealing with that then the rest of my life here, and that was early 20s. So I go from high level fitness to now, when that happened, having to kind of restart, and you really really have to put your ego aside because when you're restarting anything, uh, you have this idea of where you were and you have this idea of what you should be, and you think people are looking at you expecting that. And I guess that's the part that is gives you the anxiety. That's the part that hurts. But in reality, like, nobody's looking at you. No, nobody cares. uh you don't go to the gym and look at other people who you've seen before and be like, oh well, that guy used to be so strong and now they're not doing near the weight. You barely notice them. Like, if you do notice them, you're like, oh, good to see Jimmy back at the gym. But realistically, you probably barely even notice them. So anyways, that's the big thing, is like, you're never going to do it unless you put that aside. um so first steps is controlling your ego, and again, it has nothing to do with your arrogance or confidence or any of that. It has everything to do with the fear and anxiety, and your brain telling you something that's completely contradictory. You know, you have to make first steps somewhere. So anyway, so that's where I'm at again, because I got fat and lazy, from not being in the gym, uh, not being attentive to my fitness, and telling myself that it was okay because I'm working long hours, and which I was, but like, it, balance is key. Balance is everything. It's hard to, if you can avoid it, try to just keep at least some of the habit, because it's hard to restart, which again, I've done a bunch of times, so I know. um, so yeah, as far as like protocol, um, the the biggest thing is the habit. And people will tell you, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to count your macros, you have, like, all this bullshit, all this fluff, when in reality, like, you just have to go to the fucking gym. You just have to, like, go for that run. And that's the biggest thing. Because if you don't do that, then it doesn't matter how much you know about working out. If you don't ever actually work out, it doesn't you're not gonna see a difference. So, forming that habit is the most important part of this equation. And what I do to form that habit is, I will do basically bare minimum workouts, micro workouts, or things that just get me to show up. So by that I mean, let's say you have a goal, you want to get in shape. Part of that goal is you want to go to the gym, and that's where you want to do your exercising, which, the gym's a great place because you're surrounded by other people with the same mindset. So let's say that's your goal. Well, it can seem like super daunting to go there and not know what you're doing, not know where all the equipment is. Like, there's all these excuses you can make, and you will make them if that's your if that's your proclamative, or sorry, that's if that's your mindset, basically. Like, you will make those excuses if you don't have a simple reason to be there. So in the near future here, I am hoping to get a gym membership. um, I'm trying to figure out what gym makes most sense to me right now, with the time I have in my lifestyle. So I'm looking at a few options, but when I do, my goal for that first, let's say the first month, um, is to just show up to the gym a whole bunch of times. And it doesn't matter what you do. Like, get there. Like, get to the fucking gym. Go there and walk on the damn treadmill for a half hour. And if you do that, that's a win. Go there and ride the bike. Go there and play around with all the different machines. Find out where all the stuff is. Like that, those are all wins, because you're building the habit of going to the gym. And when you build a habit like that, like, your mind doesn't like know, your mind doesn't know the difference, or your subconscious mind anyways doesn't know the difference of, hey, I didn't do all the things that I, like, imagined myself doing. All your mind knows is that, like, all your subconscious mind knows is that now this is a habit that you've done, daily or bi-daily. And at this time, you know, on these days, you go to this place, and that becomes a habit. And then you work up from that. You've been walking on the treadmill for a week. Well, now you decide, okay, well, I mean, you're going to anyways, because you're going to get bored, or at least I know I would. But you're going to start exploring other exercises. And if you're somebody who's obviously, if you're somebody who's experienced, you're going to know other things that you want to do. You're going to know all kinds of different workouts and exercises and routines that you've done before, and things you want to try now. So realistically, you're actually going to be doing a lot more than this, but like, this is the bare minimal, and it makes such a difference. Is just getting there. And like I said, so let's say you're walking on the treadmill for a week, then you start exploring other things. That all adds to that habit. That all becomes part of that habit. And as soon as you start doing, like, the as soon as you start exercising to the point where you're kind of working hard, and you're able to do enough work that you feel it, you feel a little sore or you feel tired, it's gonna give your body this hit of dopamine, and that is going to be added to the habit. So you can hear people talking about, oh, if I don't go for a run every day, like, I miss it. My day is completely off. Or if I don't go and hit the gym 3 times a week, I just feel like shit. And that's a real thing, because you're missing that hit of dopamine, and you're missing that habit. And life's about trade-offs of basically the things you're addicted to. And you can have good addictions and bad addictions. You can have good habits and bad habits. Coming home from work and sitting on the couch and eating Cheetos can become a habit, and that's a bad habit. But you could also not go home and go to the gym straight after work, which would build a good habit. And that's obviously better for you. So, and that's, like, I recommend as well. I talk a lot or I will be talking a lot about things that I know, and I'm in the trades, I'm in construction. So right now my hours aren't crazy, but like, I know about working 12, 14-hour days, and like, you don't want to do anything after. But coming from experience, from being on sites where I have been working those hours and still working out, like, you are capable of way more than you think you are. And as long as you don't sit your ass down, then you're totally capable of working out after work. But as soon as you start chilling, you're basically fucked. You're gonna be sleepy, and you're not gonna want to do it. So that's another suggestion I have, is just like, don't let yourself relax until you're done your work. And I basically add my exercising for the day to my work day, or to my routine in some way that I know, okay, this stuff is basically non-negotiable. I act like I'm getting paid for it, because in reality, it's going to help me be capable of doing my job for longer, hopefully, and better at doing my job. Lifting heavy things, moving heavy things, doing whatever, being flexible enough to reach things, etc., etc. Which is like crazy important in construction, but nobody takes it seriously. So that's why guys are all so, like, jacked up. They'll be like, not even 40 years old and totally jacked up, because they treat their body like shit, and they just pound beers after work, and chill. So that's obviously not good. Um, but yeah, so getting that routine down is the big thing. So today, I don't know what I'm working out. Yeah, I'm probably gonna do legs. Um, and some core, just because of the other workouts, small workouts I've done recently. I haven't done a lot of legs, which normally is like my go-to. I got real strong legs, so I like to I like to do that, which is the opposite of most people, or most guys, anyways. But yeah, and legs is one of those things that you kind of know it's gonna suck. So it does feel like you kind of have to hype yourself up a bit. But again, like my goal isn't, hey, I'm gonna do, I'm not hitting any PRs anytime soon. That's for damn sure. And my goal is to just like, I want to go through the motions, moving my legs that way, and like get that habit and get the kinks out. Like, if you haven't done this stuff in a long time, you're gonna be like the Tin Man, and you're really gonna have to go through those motions so many times before you feel like, okay, like my body recognizes this again. And if you haven't ever done it, it's gonna like you're gonna really notice it, because you're gonna feel things you definitely haven't felt before. But it quickly you quickly get used to it. And a lot of that is like muscles that you don't use, and those small muscles that never ever get like targeted when your day-to-day life, because we just either sit around all day or stand around doing whatever our jobs are, right? Like it's different for everybody. But yeah, so, and I think like there's a lesson in there for any other habit that you want to form, and any other anything that you feel like you kind of should do or have to do, or things that you have goals around, but it seems so daunting. It's always because like you look at it in the broad picture and think like, I can't climb that mountain, instead of like, okay, well, if I just like take a couple steps up that mountain, even if it sucks, even if I can only get half a step, I'm still a half step further up that mountain than I was yesterday. And eventually that mountain's going to be so easy to climb, because you have been doing that every day, and you're going to feel like, oh, I kind of have to do this. And the fear is the killer for everything. We get scared of things that like we get scared of things that it just doesn't make sense, because we have anxiety about something that A, hasn't happened yet, B, we don't even know how we're going to feel when it happens. So, and C, like you can't sometimes you can't get away from it anyway. So it's like you're either gonna have that you know if you're working out, you're either gonna be sore working out, or you're gonna be sore because you're weak, like doing something else. So you might as well control where you actually feel that, and put yourself in the position like voluntarily, instead of someday you're gonna either not be able to do the stuff you want to do, or you're gonna feel that pain involuntarily. Yeah, so I'm thinking probably want to get into running and stuff again too. And running is one of those things. Running is probably one of the most daunting ones, at least for me. When I usually start back up with running, especially if I've been beating my body up with work and long hours, etc. Um, my back will hurt, all kinds of shit. And running is one of those daunting things, because you feel like everybody can see you, and you have to like I like running outside, but you have to kind of you unless you're running on a treadmill, you have to kind of go somewhere. So it's very obvious your failure. It's very obvious like how shitty you are when you start, and it can take a little bit of time to kind of get used to it, and to like build that endurance up, and to like it can just suck. Like you're in the suck, and there's no escaping, and there's no way to like, there's no cheat code for that. You either do it or you don't. So my plan for that is I'm probably going to try to start walking the route that I want to kind of take. Like, I want something familiar to start with. And then after, after I get in the habit of just doing it, then that's where you branch out and you start running longer, or you do a different route or make it interesting, etc. So I'm going to try to start walking that route. It's also, in the middle of winter here. Well, hopefully the end of winter. We'll see. But there's snow and ice all over the place, so I want to walk, make sure I'm not going to like injure myself, because I'm a total klutz, and that would basically reset you back to zero. So make sure everything's all hunky dory that way, all clear, and then you know try to get that habit of starting to run again, because it's one of those things, like runner's high is a real thing. Uh, Getting that dopamine from running is awesome. Um, Even if you don't want to be a long distance runner, you don't want to be like it's not your thing. Like, just running in general is pretty great. It's a pretty great way of getting back into exercising. It helps with all your other exercises. I don't give a shit what people like bodybuilders and stuff say, and anybody says. Like, your having your endurance up is always going to help you. So it is good. But yeah, so that's it for today. Delta out.